6 gaming headsets: the Razer Kraken X, Logitech G432, EXA E900 Pro, Corsair HS45 Surround, Astro A10s, and finally the Roccat Elo X Stereo. All of these headsets are $50 or less, except for the Astros, which are $60, and in this video, I'm going to compare their audio and microphone quality, construction, comfort, and everything in between. And at the end of the video, I'll give each one of these a score breaking down how well they did in each category, so you have a good idea of how well a particular headset does in a particular category. I'll also be giving away every one of these headsets. In order to have a chance to win, you'll have to watch the video and pay attention to some codes sprinkled in the video. Then you can go to the link in the description to enter those codes for your chance to enter and win. Also, this giveaway is available to the US only because if I wanted to ship this internationally, it would be extremely expensive. Sorry, international people, maybe one day I'll be able to do a giveaway worldwide. There's also links in the description if you just want to buy them for yourself. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel so I can continue doing stuff like this in the future, consider supporting me on Patreon. Patreon supporters get access to the Patreon-only Discord server, behind-the-scenes content, early access to videos, and more. Link in the description. Alright, let's start with what you get. Every headset has a 4-pole cable with some sort of separate adapter or splitter. This gives you the flexibility of being able to plug it straight into the controller or plugging it to your PC and still being able to use both the headset and the microphone. In terms of construction, all of these headsets are made mostly out of plastic. The Razer, Corsair, and Logitech have a full plastic construction, with the exception of the Corsair and Logitech's adjustable band being made out of metal. The quality of the plastics used in the Logitech and Corsair are pretty nice. They have this kind of mid-tier quality plastic, which feels and looks much better than the Razer's cheap dollar store quality plastic. The Razer's plastic is so cheap that it creaks when you move it. It's hollow feeling, so it doesn't feel very good or strong. It won't break if you handle it normally, but if you spread the ear cups apart too far, the band will break. The EXA has a mixture of some synthetic leather for the band, plastic for the end of the band and for the ear cup, and metal for the ear cup hook, and all of it feels high quality and sturdy. What worries me though is this cable. My Beyerdynamics MMX300 Gen 2s also have this exposed cable, and I don't like it because sometimes I accidentally pull on it and I'm always worried I'll break it. It's the same case for the EXA and the Roccat. Speaking of, the Roccat also has a mixture of metal and some synthetic leather for the band, and medium quality plastic for the ear cup and hook. Overall, it's sturdy and feels nice, but I think the ear cup design looks pretty boring. Lastly is the Astros, which has a rubber band with plastic ends that slide into the plastic ear cups. It's not totally plastic though, as there's metal in the stem piece which gives it a strong and sturdy build. Overall, it's nice and feels like the sturdiest pair of headsets here, which might come back to bite them in the butt later in terms of adjustability because it barely has any. Ear cup adjustability on the Astros only goes 2 ways, up and down. There's no left and right movement, so if you want to wear this comfortably, you better hope your head is shaped perfect for this headset. And even if it is, you can't wear it comfortably, but we'll get to that in a minute. The same goes for the Razer in terms of adjustability. You have no left and right movement, just up and down. Now this isn't going to be a problem for some or even most people, I don't know. What I do know is that it will be a problem for some people, and if you know you need or want that extra adjustability, the Logitech, Roccat, EXA, and even the Corsair will be a better option. The Logitech and Roccat have great adjustability, having swivel points to be able to swivel them with a wide range and having lots of tilt adjustability. They're also very easy to travel with and throw into a bag because you can make them lay kind of flat. The EXA and the Corsair don't have swivel points, but they can tilt a bit. The EXA has some extra opening space where the metal headphone hook goes, allowing for pretty decent motion, though not as much as the Logitech and Roccat. And then there's the Corsair, which doesn't look like it has any swivel adjustability, but it does have a very slight amount of it. I'm not sure if this is actually a feature of the headset, but slight amounts of swivel is better than none at all. All headsets have great band adjustability as well, so it doesn't really matter if you have a small or big head, they all have enough adjustability for most people. The best band in my opinion though is the Rockats, not because it's different, but because it's easier to use. Instead of the traditional pull each individual ear till you're happy, with the Roccat, all you have to do is put it on your head and it'll adjust for you evenly because it's in the middle. I think it uses an elastic band in the middle, but whatever it uses, the tension on it is just right. It's not going to pull the headset higher because the tension is too tight, nor is it too loose, so the headset won't droop down. It also doesn't seem to have less adjustability due to its design. It looks and feels like it extends just as much as any other headset I've used. Roccat did a really good job with this because other implementations I've seen with this kind of design were crap. I'm still not sure how it'll hold up over time, but with how good these materials are, I don't expect it to be an issue. If you still prefer the traditional design, then you'll want any other headset in this list that isn't the Roccat. All other headsets here have the standard pull each ear to adjust to your liking. But after using the Roccat, I think every headset should have this design because it's just easier and easier is better. But that's just my own opinion. Either way, all headsets on this list have great extensions, so you shouldn't have any issues there. Alright, next let's talk about the feature set. I'm talking volume adjustants, mic mutes, detachable I/O, and so on. The Logitech has a volume wheel on the rear of the left ear cup, and the microphone auto mutes itself when you flip it up. And that's it. Not much going for it. The Razer has the same stuff, except to mute the mic, you have a mic mute switch above the volume wheel. Also not much for the Razer. The Astro takes it a bit further by having the same flip to mute mic as the Logitech, a detachable 3.5mm audio cable so you can replace it if it breaks, and a volume wheel on the cable, which I prefer much more than any other headset here because you're not accidentally adjusting the volume when you're adjusting the headset. Almost all of the volume wheels in every headset are extremely easy to increase or decrease by accident since there's no tactility or resistance. I say almost all because the Exa's volume wheel is recessed to the thinner part of the ear cup, so you're probably grabbing the wider part with your hand, and the volume wheel also does have some resistance. It also has the most adjustability of any headset on this list, having a mic mute switch, a detachable 3.5mm cable, the option to use USB-C instead of 3.5mm for audio, and a detachable mic. It also has the Tesla Model 3 logo as their brand logo. The Roccat and the Corsair come slightly behind the Exa, with only volume wheels and mic mute switches behind the left ear cup and detachable mics. The cables are not detachable, so if you're looking for the most feature set headset, that would be the Exa. But if you're not too worried about breaking cables or detachable mics, then choose whatever you like. Now before we talk about audio quality, we gotta talk about comfort. I think this is just as important as audio quality because if it's not comfortable, you can't wear it, and what's the point of having a headset you can't wear? I'll also be using the headset's microphone respective of what headset I'm talking about, so you can hear the microphone quality without me having to dedicate a whole section just to mic quality.
Starting with the weight, the lightest headset is the Razer, with the Astros being 33% heavier, which is nuts. I guess that's the benefit of Razer using cheap hollow plastic. With that said, the Corsair is only 11 grams heavier and feels much better and stronger than the Razer. But how's the cushioning? Well, it'll be different for everyone, but my head is very sensitive and I can say for sure that the worst one here is the Astros. Like, look at this little chub worth of padding. Because the weight is concentrated to this tiny bit of surface area, it penetrates my head, kind of like a cat with its 4 little knives when it stands on you. The ear cup cushions are decent though. They're made out of the same fabric used on the padding, but they have a medium firmness to it. I personally prefer soft, so this is a no from me. The Logitech is my second least favorite one. It's got synthetic leather on the band and ear cup, and unlike the Astros, it has a good amount of surface area. But because the padding on the band and ear cup are kind of medium firm to very firm firmness, it hurts my head just like the Astros. At least I can use them for more than 30 seconds before it starts hurting. The Corsair and Razer is where it starts getting better. They have the same surface area padding to the Logitech, but they're much softer. The Razer has your standard padding with thin synthetic leather, whereas the Corsair feels like memory foam with material that can only be described as a high thread count bedsheet. It's very nice. They basically put Tempur-Pedic on your head. The ear cups on the Corsair have the same material as the padding on top, but it's not as soft. It feels medium firm. The Razer has better pads. They have the same synthetic leather-like material as what they use on top, and the cushioning is much softer than the Corsair. The Roccat has similar fabric to what's used on the Corsair, but it's not as stretchy nor does it have as much padding. I don't think it's that big of a deal though because it's still pretty soft on my head. The ear cups on the other hand suck in my opinion. They're synthetic leather just like the Razer, but this one is much stiffer feeling and doesn't have as much cushioning, and they're much thinner. Lastly is the Exa, which I think are the best in terms of comfort. Apart from them being one of the lighter headsets, they also have very soft padding covered in synthetic leather, and the ear cups are the softest in this list. They're memory foam feeling, but what I like the most is that the leather used is thick and soft, and as you can see, there's much more leather than how much padding is actually there. It feels super soft, kind of like little comforters for your ears. In terms of heat, the only headset I had issues with trapping heat was a Logitech. It wasn't bad, but it was warmer than everything else. Everything else kept my ears about room temperature after extended use.
Alright, now we gotta talk about the sound quality. Just a heads up, I'm not going to include software tuning. Most of these headsets have software, but if I talked about it, then this video would be twice as long. If you want to see what these can do in terms of software, there are other videos somewhere on YouTube, I'm sure. Just don't expect them to be much better than the default performance. They won't be. I also won't be including any DAC or amp performance, including the USB adapters that come with these headsets, mainly because they didn't sound any different. This is plugged straight into my 3.5mm audio jack in my PC. Now for this part, you'll want to put on the best headsets you have. I know this might sound like an oxymoron, being that most people watching this might have something similar or worse to what I'm showing in this video, but you'll want to wear whatever best pair you have because I'm going to give you some audio samples. These audio samples you're about to listen to aren't exactly what these headsets sounds like, and since you're all using different headsets, they'll sound different to anyone wearing a different pair of headsets. But the reason why I'm still going to play them for you is so you can get an idea of how each headset compares to each other. I've also equalized the audio for each headset in post to make these headsets sound as close as possible to what they actually sound like. After these audio clips, I'll give you a verbal explanation of how they sound like and how they perform. It's wild how different each headset can sound at this price point. We'll start with the worst though, which I think is the Corsair. It has the biggest soundstage in this group of headsets, but sounds like it can't fill it at all. Think of it like a massive concert venue. You have this huge stadium, but instead of using large, high-end, high-watt speakers, you're using a home Bluetooth speaker to fill that stage. It's not good. It's one of the worst headsets I've heard, period. That isn't to say that you won't like it, some people might, and you might be able to get used to it after a few hours of listening to it. I know I did. But as soon as I put on basically any other pair of headsets here, I was like, oh my god, this is what I was missing? So for most people, I'd say skip this. Moving on to the next pair that's bad, but not as bad, is the Exa. The soundstage is decently big, but not as big as the Corsair, though nothing in this list will compare to the Corsair's soundstage. The main issue with the Exa is the clarity or treble. It's got good mids and bass, but the treble is bad when you compare it to everything else on this list. Think of it like you're lowering the treble all the way down in your car's EQ setting. That's what this sounds like. And it's a shame, because if this one thing was better, it would probably be the best headset on this list, but it's not. Next is the Astros. They sound good. They're clear, having good bass and good soundstage, but they're not as good as the next three, nor do I think it's a good option with the crappy cushioning on top. They really do hurt after a few minutes of putting them on. Next is the Roccat. Sound quality is very clear, soundstage is pretty good, the bass is deep and heavy, and the Logitech has all of those things as well, but sounds slightly better in terms of clarity. At first place, we have the Razer. Now, this didn't win by a big margin. It was actually very close between the Logitech and the Roccat, but this just sounds ever so slightly better in terms of higher frequencies. The bass also seemed ever so slightly deeper than all of the other headsets, while sounding clean and having no distortion. By the by, none of these headsets sounded like they had distortion. All of these headsets also had great positional tracking when it came to tracking enemy footsteps. I couldn't really say which one's better than what because they all sounded pretty much the same, but if that's one of your concerns, then it's something you could put to rest. Anyway, it seems Razer put all of their money into the drivers rather than build quality, which is fine because, again, it doesn't feel like they'll fall apart if you handle them normally. If you're rough with them, they will break. Now here's a chart showing the final score each headset received for a particular category, just in case all the information I gave was too much information to take in, or if you just wanted the TLDW. The best sounding pair of headsets here is the Razer, with the Logitech and Roccat coming in at a close second and third. If you're strictly going after sound quality, these are the three to get. If you're looking for comfort, I think the Exa is the best one on this list, but in all honesty, we all have different preferences when it comes to stuff like this, so choose with your heart. Now when it comes to microphone quality, I'm not sure what any of these microphones sounds like since I didn't record using the headset's mics until after editing the video, but personally I don't care how clear or crap my microphone sounds. If my friends and teammates can hear and understand me, then that's good enough for me. Now, if you care about build quality, then I think anything that isn't the Razer would be fine. The Astros feel like the strongest pair here, but it's also the stiffest, which means poor comfort, and that chub of a pad doesn't help. Now, that isn't to say that the Logitech, Corsair, Roccat, and Exa feel like they have noticeably worse quality than the Astros. They don't. They all have high quality materials and feel very good, which gives me the confidence to say that I think they'll all last a very long time, except the Razers. At the end of the day though, it's all about what you care about in a headset, so take this information and do what you want with it. But if you're still curious on which ones I'd pick, I'd go with the Razer simply because it's the lightest with decent padding, so it doesn't hurt my head, and the sound quality is great. I hope I didn't miss anything, but if I did, I'm sorry. This video was extremely stressful to make. I didn't expect it to be as difficult to make as it ended up being. Either way, thanks for watching. Don't forget to enter the giveaway if you spotted any of the codes throughout the video. Leave a like if you liked the video, dislike it if you disliked it, and as always, have a great day, every day. Peace.